Tango 1 at the top, we are at Papa Vehicle. 10-4, Tango 1, you have control. Tango 1 copy. Stand by. Stand by.
Integrity, passion, resilience. That's what this place was built on. That's what our community is founded on. Don't act like the example, just be the example. This is the home of the greatest fitness community in the world. We're trying to create strong, able bodies, resilient to injury with a gas tank to get shit done. If there's one thing from this podcast, it's about taking immediate action. Find the problem, fix the problem. This is your opportunity. It's either a hell yes or a fuck no. It's that simple. You're ruining the Tango 1 podcast. Now is the time to take action. Now's the time to do more and be more.
All right, welcome to the Tango 1 podcast. I'm Tony Smith. I'm a retired cop and tactical team leader. I am the founder and the owner, co-founder of the Garage Gym and Tango 1 Solutions. I'm joined every week by my friend, fireman, garage gym trainer, and amateur stuntman, Casey Wright. Our mission is to challenge you to live the tactical life, to guide you to create an immediate action plan against your problems and your weaknesses. Simply put, we want you to do more and be more. This episode of the Tango 1 podcast is sponsored by Stephen Kidd Financial Advisor. Does your financial advisor take the time to really listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized for you and your family? Will your financial advisor be there as your life and financial situation change? When you work with Stephen Kidd, your local Edward Jones financial advisor, he focuses on what's important to you. You'll work together and use an established process to create a personalized financial strategy backed by the advice, tools, and resources to help you reach your goals. And you'll partner to help your strategy stay on track. Contact Stephen Kidd today at 519-734-8599. That's 519-734-8599. Edward Jones, member, Canadian Investor Protection Fund. All right, let's get rolling. So today, our guest is Noah Fleming, labeled by one of our local magazines as the Kingmaker. Noah quit his 9-to-5 job many years ago to become an entrepreneur. He owns and operates Fleming Consulting, where he has consulted for companies such as the Washington Capitals, Michael Kors, and Broadway, like The Street in New York, right? All the shows.
The shows, that's right.
He's written 3 books, Evergreen, which I've read, The Customer Loyalty Loop, and Dealing with the Difficult Customer. He's a husband, he's a father of 2 beautiful daughters, and most importantly to me, he is our oldest, not our oldest in age, but our longest member in Kingsville.
That's amazing.
He was second by about 30 seconds, and that lady quit, and now he's number 1. So... let's get rolling. So first of all, thank you for showing up today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
So I'm riding in today. I want to start off a little bit different today. I was riding in today, and I hear it's the anniversary of the 2003 blackout. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
And it is just as hot as that day because I remember it so clearly. So like, 1, how old were you? 2003. Let's do the reverse math. Okay, sorry, I challenged you on that.
10?
10? Yeah, what were you doing that day, Noah?
I'm trying to remember. I think I was sitting in my parents' backyard just trying to keep cool, but I remember that. I was just thinking if you get a few more sponsors, you'll be able to get some air conditioning in here.
yeah, I don't know. You know, it feels like this is how...
Today is the recorded hottest day in the studio by far. We even had to open the window.
Stephen Kidd, fees are going up.
So I remember that blackout day. I was out on Wyandotte. We had just locked somebody up for like assaulting somebody with a baseball bat, a rounder. I won't say the name. I don't want to get in trouble, but a lot of the guys will know him. But anyways, we bring him into he got beat up too in part of the arrest. Not by me. Okay, but we bring him into the hospital, and I remember the nurses, like, the lights are out in the hospital, and the nurses are like, there's no power from here to New York City. And I'm like, bullshit. Like you just thought people were exaggerating. This is before social media and everything, right?
Wow.
And it was insane. We ended up working like the next 48 hours. I remember it being this hot every single minute and just dripping in sweat like we are today.
It's warm up here, not going to lie. It's very warm.
All right, man. So I'm reading over your thing. I know you personally now over the last like almost 3.5, almost 4 years. And real cool, one of the reasons I want to have you on here is, you're always like so chilled, laid back, and you were one of the guys who was really pushing me to leave the police department and write my own paycheck, as your father once told you. So let's start. Like, I was reading back in your bio and some of the interactions we had right before the show. 2004, you graduate the U,
Yep.
and let's just go from there, man, because your story is so cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's funny. I got a friend of mine who says that, shortly after you meet me, I'm always trying to encourage you to quit your job. And so it's just one of those things I do.
Please don't tell Casey this.
But yeah, I was always an entrepreneur. So growing up, I was always doing whatever I could to make a few bucks on the side. First job, pulling a little red wagon around a marina where I lived in Niagara. I recognized very quickly that there was no drinks. There was no concession stand back then. I was 9-10 years old. So I started dragging around this wagon. And by, noon on Saturday, I'd have 60, 70, 80, $100 in my pocket. I was 9 or 10 years old. But then I went to school and, and it's like, you gotta climb the corporate ladder. You gotta get into the corporate world. I told myself there's no way I could be an entrepreneur this young. And so went to school, graduated from the University of Windsor, got married at 25. Took me a year to find a job, which was really, disheartening, right? You get out of university, you think, here I am, I'm going to climb this ladder now. I'm going into the working world, I'm going to make some money. And then I get this job, I'm making, I don't know, $20 an hour or something, $23 an hour, downtown Windsor, driving in every day from Kingsville. And literally the first day after it took me a year to find my job, I went home and I told my new wife at the time, I'm going to quit this job. And she just about lost her mind because she said, "What are you talking about?
You've been a year trying to get it.
You spent a year trying to get this job. We just bought our first house. She's on probation with her career." And she said, "Absolutely not." And I said, "I can't do it." I remember driving in that first day, and I don't know if you guys, how long have you lived in this area?
2 years.
Okay.
Well,
So
I lived in Windsor for 5 years.
so you wouldn't remember these guys, but you would. There's a old radio station 101, and there was these guys, Drew and Mike.
Oh, yeah.
And one day, Drew
Every day in the cruiser, man.
and-
That was like what got me through the mornings.
Right, and hilarious. But that first day, Drew is saying one of these things that I've heard before, which is you get one shot on this planet. We're on a rock that's traveling, 50,000 miles an hour, hurling through the sun, and people are freaking out every day about the smallest little things. And I thought to myself, gosh, I got to get serious here, right? And so I went home that day. I told my wife I'm going to quit this job. And she has no risk tolerance whatsoever. She's not an entrepreneur. And she said, you got to stick it out for 6 months. And if you can find a way to make what your job's paying you, I'll support you. And so that's what I did. And so every day when my boss, where I work, closed the door, I started doing my own thing. I started building a website. I started blogging. I started reaching out to businesses that I know. And I started to make some money, started to get some clients. And then so I'll fast forward a bit, but 6 months to the day after that, I quit my job. So I stuck it out through the Windsor Super Bowl, or the Super Bowl that was in Detroit. And then shortly after that, took my boss to lunch and I said, I'm out of here. And I haven't been back since. So I haven't worked since 2005 for anybody but myself, which is amazing.
So was your first job when you got into that workforce, Otis, did you do business for school?
So I got a communications degree from the University of Windsor. So I was always into marketing. I was always into creating things. And
Right.
so a communications degree back then felt like the right thing for me. But no, I never got a business degree.
And was your first job in marketing?
Yeah, so I was with the Downtown Windsor Business Improvement Association. So right downtown, I was driving in from Kingsville, and so I was the new marketing coordinator there. And they stuck me in. I remember my first day. I walked in and they stuck me in this office without a window, and it was painted this really ugly purple color. And there was this old big computer on the corner desk, and they just said, "Okay, see ya, have a good day." Nobody told me what to do. Nobody said anything. Nobody came in to say hi. And I'm sitting there an hour into this job going like, what? What did I just do
What
here?
did you just sign up for?
What did I just sign up for? And so I knew right then and there, that day, that I had to find a way out. So that's what I did.
Wow, it's so weird. I mean, how you can just set a date, like the 6-month goal. It's something you just said out loud, and it kind of like you just find a way to make it happen. I keep saying that on this thing. If you say these goals out loud, you tell them to other people, and all of a sudden you can just find a way to make it happen. So like what you sell is odd to me, right?
Yeah.
Like it's how you meet these people, and one of the things you're constantly talking about is like self-worth.
Yeah.
And I know here, like one of the sticking points, when we first moved to Kingsville with our gym and first opened in Amherstburg, gyms here are like $29. And we said, You know, I looked around, the CrossFit gyms at that time were $130, and I said, well, we will be $155 randomly.
Yeah.
And at first it was very hard to, like, when people came in and they're like, well, I paid $29 to go to the other place and you're this, what's the difference? And it was very hard to get myself around that was the value of what we were selling.
Sure.
And still now hiring like younger people who are also, you know, going to Fit for Less for $4.99 a month of how we're going to sell that value membership. How do you get over that obstacle?
It's funny. I mean, I remember when you were coming to Kingsville, and I remember coming in to see you that first day.
Coming in to see me or to scrutinize me?
I don't know if you remember that day.
Oh, I remember.
But, yeah. But I walked in and...
hair and makeup done?
The hair and makeup done, that's right.
Coming in.
But, you know, when I talked to people about Garage Gym opening in Kingsville, I was very excited. And I was spreading the word already. But I heard the same thing, right? Who's going to pay that much for a gym in Kingsville? Who's going to pay $150 a month to go to a gym in Kingsville? But it worked, right? And of course it does, because you offer great value. It's tremendous value. And so people would probably pay a lot more for that. For me, I had to learn how to do that. I had to learn how to do that, how to trust in my own value and how to express that to potential clients and people I was going to work with. And I'm still working on that to this day. So I still pay for a business coach. I still have a business mentor that I work with. I'm still involved in mastermind groups. But what's the most fascinating thing is that a majority of the time, the things we're talking about is not, you know, how to write a business proposal. It's all head stuff. So it's all self-esteem. It's all self-development. It's all understanding the value that you can bring to others. And if you do that, people are willing to pay for it. And so it's taken me a while, but it's good. It's really good.
So isn't it crazy? I find I've been working now with a group, my first group that I've worked with for a long period of time. Actually, I had one a few years ago and now this one. And one of the things I found is, like, we didn't really work on business and we didn't really work on how to negotiate a deal with, I mean, very cool little side trip is that negotiating business and negotiating somebody off a ledge is almost the very same thing. It's very, very, very common, they have common traits. But what I've found is that these guys, just by like one being around some other guys who are motivated, and by like just instilling some like very basic principles of confidence, some tactical things, which comes in like how you stand in a room is how I can like bring down a situation out on the streets and crime. And these guys presenting that to them and having them just go out, the success that would just come, like, and then success finds success. It's like every week we get on these calls with these guys and they're like, man, I landed this sale, I landed this many customers, and it's like, it's just like fire. Isn't that the best? That's got to be one of the best parts of your job.
It is. I mean, entrepreneurship, regardless of what you do, you know, I'm in management consulting. You own a gym. Whatever it is you do, entrepreneurship it's an incredibly lonely place. You can become a lone wolf. You can, you know, I could easily curl up in my office, in my house, in my basement all day and never see anybody. And that's why I have to surround myself with people like that, because I know that there's going to be those times where I need that extra push. I need to be around peers, around colleagues, around people that can push me to that next level. So, I mean, it totally makes sense that that's the feeling you get from that. It's the same reason why I go to mastermind meetings and I'm involved in different groups like that.
So a lot of people had kind of the opposite experience that you might have had during COVID, is that they were forced to start working from home. And some people like loved it. And then I know with you, it was kind of opposite. It was like, not that you don't love it, it was just that the opposite situation is that you were working from home for many years. And now all of a sudden, you know, the wife, the children are
building
home,
an office.
Are home. Yeah, like how did that change for you? And what have you done to kind of adjust? And I mean, you've still continued to kill it. And you were traveling constantly, and now you travel zero.
Yeah.
So you've made some right turns. So you've done some stick handling. What is it?
So first of all, I got lucky, and you know, I think I wrote this in my notes. Luck to me has played an important role in my life. I got lucky. I had all clients at the time of COVID and the pandemic hitting that were all deemed essential businesses. So I didn't lose a single client. Adjusting to everybody being home has been the best thing ever. Right. I think we're going to look back on this pandemic and we're going to say, gosh, like those were some good times, surprisingly. Having everybody around, nothing to do, you know, families home, hanging out. But I legitimately am building an office now because I do need a again, I always find I need something to push me to a next level. And so when money's good and you don't have that pressure, sometimes you need to create some pressure. And so, you know, I had a coaching client who, he was the same way. He needed to create some pressure. And so he called me about a week later, and because he had no money problems, he had no financial problems. And he said, okay, he goes, I bought a new car. I created some pressure. And I said, what'd you get? He goes, I got a Tesla Model S. You know, I put $6,000 down, and my payments are $2,700 for the next 96 months or something, right? But he created the pressure. And I've had those experiences in my life as well. And so I'm just constantly looking to make sure something keeps my head in the game, because I can also get very complacent. I mean, I'm one of the world's best procrastinators. And so, you know, I can get very comfortable. The thing about my business is I can get a piece of business and I can coast. And I'm a serial coaster in life, right? I will coast. And so I got to make sure I don't let myself do that. And I know that I do that. And so I'm just constantly looking for ways to add a little bit more pressure, and good, healthy pressure, I think.
And it's a big, like, creating deadlines for yourself. And like, I know we do that a lot here. Like, we talk about it all the time. Like Tony and I, we talk about how when we don't have, basically, when we're pressed for time here and we decide to do this 3-week program in the next 4 days, we get so much shit done, because it's just like balls to the wall and we can just produce and ideas are flowing. But it's the weeks in between where it's like, we've done that now, we hit that deadline, checked it off, and now we have kind of a week to rest. That's when things like slow down. And that's where I'm the same way with procrastination a bit, is I have to create deadlines for myself to be like, this has to be done by Thursday, or else whatever the consequence is, even if it's made up consequences for yourself, to get those things done. Or like you said, it's easy to coast for certain situations. And so one thing too, like you mentioned being at home, and now with your family being home, it's a benefit. But do you need an office setting to get work done? Like in your house, do you have your office and that's where you can work? Or can you go on your kitchen table for an hour and then go on the couch for an hour and still work with that same mindset?
So years into being on my own, my business was doing really well. And I actually paid off our first mortgage within 3 years. And so all of a sudden, what I was talking about, that pressure, it all went away. And so, you know, there was no pressure. And so if you want to talk about coasting, my wife's going off to work and all of a sudden I'm vacuuming, right? Like finding anything to do to not work. And so again, I needed to create some healthy pressure. But yeah, I do have an office and I'm able to, you know, I'll work in my office a bit in the house. I'll go sit at the computer. But to me, the best thing ever is being able to take my laptop outside and swim with the kids for half an hour, you know, or just put everything down and go hang out with them for a little bit. To me, there's nothing better. There's nothing more valuable than being able to do that. But yeah, honestly, you know, through this pandemic, I have decided I'm going to build an office. And again, it's just that next evolution of, you know, I think it's what my business needs and it's what I need to take things to the next level.
Next level, always. I feel like every entrepreneur just has that. There's that satisfaction, there's the wins, and then it's just like, now what? What's next? That's the constant what's in here. Like every time it's like we have a record month, it's like next. What's next? What's next? It's just like constant like hunger to
just
like
false peaks climbing.
Yeah. False peaks. Great way to put it.
But I think though too, you have to be careful though that, you know, we all know entrepreneurs who are they're serial hustlers, and so they never stop. You know, and it is always that next thing, and there always needs to be that next level. Again, I think it's so important to be able to just stop. Right? Just stop for a little bit and be able to take in your surroundings, look at where you're at, look at what you've done, how far you've come. Sometimes people are moving so fast, they don't have time to do that. You know, I wrote 3 books in 3 years, and the first one was great. The second 2, I don't even remember half of what I said in them, because it just you're just flying, right? And so it's important to be able to step back and look at everything and go, wow, like look at how far we've come. I mean, I'm sure you do that all the time here, to think about the history of this place and how far you've come and how you've built these 2 gyms now and you've got multiple clients. You know, it's just fantastic, and you continue to grow. But you need to be able to step back, I think, and take a look at that every once in a while.
You know, you think it's one of the best things about Facebook and Instagram is that memories thing that comes up all the time. And like something will come up where I'm training like one person in my garage. or there's a post and maybe the people that read it don't really know, but that night before I had been on a balcony for 14 hours negotiating, and I was completely like exhausted and done with the world. And you think, how far have you come as a person and as a family man? And I think that's what, for us as a family, COVID has been fantastic. It's allowed us to just really focus on each other. As a business, we were going in way too many directions.
Yeah.
And we have cut so much stuff, and I feel a sense of calm. Even though we're like collecting gear and running in all these different ways, there's like a sense of calm, and you can feel it throughout the room, right? I feel like as the leader, a lot of what your emotion is being passed through them, and these guys are passing it back up. So it's really like taken down the vibration a lot and allowed us to get back to where we were. And I think in a lot of ways, we're almost going back to like how we started this gym. And I'm really excited for Monday to get rolling again. So strategic thinking is something you talk about tons. Like to you, like I think that's something that we share in common, the tactical mindset. I think that's why I've been able to like overcome moving from a completely different realm and kind of be successful in business. Like, let's get into that a little bit. Like, what's your thoughts there? Just go.
Yeah, let me try and unwrap that a few ways. I used to think of, people often use the term strategy and tactics. They'll say something like, you've got to have the right strategy and you got to have the right tactics. Strategy and tactics are two different things. So tactics to me are the action steps you take. Tactics are the things you do. Strategy is a desired future state. Strategy is where you want to go and how you're going to get there, right? And so first of all, for me, whenever I'm working with a client, they'll come to me and they'll say things like, we need to do this, and this. I'll say, well, how do you know you need to do that? Well, everybody else is doing that, and those are the things we need to do, and we see everybody else getting on that. Well, no, it's not about that. First, you need to define where you are now and where you want to go. And so a lot of my business and my consulting, even with big companies, is just getting them to stop and look and go, where do you want to be a year from now, right? What's the desired future state? Once you know that, then you start putting the tactics in place to get there. And so I'll use that same approach in my business. I don't often think 5 years out. I'll think a year out, and I'll think, how do I want to be different a year from now than I am today? For me, I want to continue to not travel as much as I was before. So, okay, the tactics are now I need to do things, put things into place to support not having to travel anymore. So I probably need more ways to earn passive revenue, for example, or passive income. I just need to start thinking about the tactics to get me there. And so I'd be curious to know how you think about strategy and tactics and how you guys approach it in your business.
Yeah, for me, I think that everybody's hiccup, and I think what you're saying with that whole people are talking about where they want to go. I think too many people speak about where they want to go, but never spend any time on how they're going to get there, and then even less time on actually taking that first step to going. And for us, tactically, for me, that was a whole different realm at one point in my life, and there was no time for sitting on your decisions. It was, we called it the OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, and act. And that's how we treat it in here. We spend very little time on the first part: observe, orient, and then it's decide, and we're acting, we're moving. And I feel like by moving, it allows us to, one, make mistakes very fast and swiftly and get through them, and it puts us ahead. And I feel like every time we make a mistake, we're 5 feet ahead. We don't spend any time. We've spent very little time actually dwelling on our mistakes or going over them. I feel like we spend way more time focusing on what part we did really well, because the mistakes you just don't do again.
Right.
If if you're bashing into this room to do a hostage rescue and you turn left when you should have turned right because there's a blind corner, you're dead.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So simple. If you're doing that in a scenario, fucking don't do it next time. Turn the right way and do that again. Let's focus on that rather than we turn left, we shouldn't have, or we're not going to turn left again. We're going to continue to do the right thing. And I think that's how we talk with these guys. And even yesterday in our meeting about how we're going to handle the return of all of our members inside was, what do we do for this? What do we do for this? And the answer from me on most of it is, I want you to do what you think is the best thing to do. And I think allowing your team to make decisions will prosper. Will it be the right decision? No, but it's a decision. And if they're not making decisions when 10 people walk in here a little bit anxious about germs on Monday, that crowd is gonna feel it. They're not gonna feel that leadership that I want Casey and Nikki and Steph and Danny and me to present.
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic has changed a lot for businesses. So, just like you guys had to adapt to the current situation so quickly, so many other businesses had to do the same. I was listening to a podcast last week with the chief economist of Deloitte, and he was talking about one of Canada's largest grocery chains, and they had it on their strategic plan, their 5-year strategic plan to have more ability to grocery shop online. It was in their 5-year plan, but when the pandemic hit, they did it in 3 weeks because it suddenly became life or death, and it was a life or death thing for them to do it. So to me, it begs the question, well, why didn't they do it before? Right? If they knew it was that important, why was it part of a 5-year plan? Why did it take that long? If it was something that legitimately could have killed their business, why didn't they just do it? And so that's kind of how I think too. It's like, if you know something's important, just get it done. Just do it. Get the thing done.
Yeah.
And that story just shocked me.
Definitely lessons to be learned there. Sorry to cut you off, Case. The big takeaway from that for me, we said we don't spend much time talking on mistakes, is that like 5 years ago, I feel like my buddy, my realtor, Ty, he says to me, man, you got to start going on YouTube. You got to get people's houses. Everybody loves what you do, but nobody wants to drive to Amherstburg and nobody wants to drive to Kingsville. And we didn't do that. And we have been sitting, and my fault, not Casey's. It's been Casey's job for a year, but I've always said we're going to get to that next quarter. We'll get to that next quarter. And if we would have had that online thing built that we had planned to build, basically what we're doing at this moment, we would have been so far ahead. I cannot imagine the amount of online memberships we would have gained.
Definitely.
Because we were
lucky just because we had a little bit of back. It was one of my side projects before all this. And like Tony said, kept trying to push it this quarter. And then it was kind of turning into something we had maybe 3 or 4 online clients. And it was just stuff which was again, even having those 3, it's the same as having 20 of them because you're still creating the content. And then when this all happens, we're at least we're moving, like you said. So even if this idea is a bust, which it kind of was at first, but now we have that momentum coming through the door, and it's if you screw up a few things here or there, you still have momentum to just fix it real quick and then continue on.
Yeah, I mean, your online story is very similar to the grocery thing, right? So why didn't you do it? Well, you didn't do it because day-to-day business of actually running the business. So we can say, the grocery store should have done it, but the reality is it's the same thing. They were just as busy as you guys doing other things, and they knew it was important. They'd get to it someday. My big takeaway from the pandemic and coming out of the pandemic into a post-pandemic world for business is that businesses are going to have to innovate faster than ever before. They're going to have to try new things faster and quicker than they've ever done before. They're going to have to, not let those things slide that they know are important. Look how many businesses just got online with e-commerce, quickly, right? And so things like that, I think the businesses that are going to thrive and survive are the ones that are going to take a really huge, they're really going to take a mindset of constant innovation moving forward.
Right, so that was my question. What do you think? So now, there's just, we're just going to talk about Essex County gyms. We were one of the first to the table. And then now everybody, and we got a couple of members, and then and rightfully so, a lot of those people, once their gyms got back up, moved back to where they were loyal, and I appreciate that. I'm not bitter towards that at all. So my question is now there's 20, 30 of us in Essex County, and how many in North America, and then times that in the world, because now we can reach the world. How are businesses like that, these online businesses, e-commerce businesses, going to separate themselves from each other when now I feel like it's going to be so diluted with choices for the consumer?
Right. Well, everything. Yeah, you're right. Everything's more diluted now than it was before. I think you're going to have a large number of businesses that go back to being just the people. I'm calling the business the people, but they're going to go back to just the way they were before. So the online, for a lot of companies, is probably going to stop, right? It's going to be too much work to continue online fitness classes, so we're going to go back to teaching at the gym. But what I'm always telling my clients to do is to, make a list of everything your competitors are doing and look at it and say, how can we do it better? Make a list of everything you think you could be doing, no matter how crazy, how silly, how ridiculous, and ask yourself, should we be doing this? Ask yourself, what trends do we see coming in the next few years or few months that we need to be looking at and adopting? I think for fitness in general, I think virtual is going to remain immensely important, even though it is diluted. I know people that go to our gym, the Garage Gym, that have said, they're going to continue doing the online classes because they enjoy them, they like them. And so I think it would be a shame for a lot of companies to just get rid of those things and just go back to the same old day-to-day busyness. I don't want to go back there in my personal life, let alone my business life.
But that's where things too, like businesses are going to continue online stuff. So when you say now the reach is the world, now you're competing against places all over the world because I can download an app from Australia and do that stuff. So that's where becoming unique as a business and staying to like our morals, which we talk about all the time, that's what's going to separate you from it. One of your articles, actually, I was reading, one of the best things I saw was like, don't just be another contracting company.
Yeah.
So right, you talk about how someone asks about, say you need to get your roof done, and then they give you a list of numbers for roofing companies. Right. And they're
just contractors.
Right. They all do the same thing. And then you pointed out how you had an experience with a company, and it was like, no, this is the person I refer to strictly on personal basis or everything like that. So just explain more of that article that I.
Yeah, so I mean, that was essentially, I was saying you don't want to be lumped in as just another whatever, fill in the blank, right? Just another accountant, just another real estate agent. We all know just another real estate agent. And so what can you do to differentiate yourself? Well, one thing you can do is not try to be everything to everyone, right? So know your core clients, know your core business, and be really special and different to them. So I think your Garage Gym thing you say is, we're not just another gym, right? Is that
more than just a gym?
Thank you.
Oh, that's a gym in Leamington that actually took the exact words from ours and used it as their slogan. I'm like baffled
more
by
than
this.
more than just a gym, and you live up to that.
Hope you're listening.
You live up to that, right? And so every business in the world says we provide unparalleled customer experience and unparalleled customer service. And then you deal with them and they're horrific, right? And this happens all the time. Banks are notorious for this. They all say that, and they're all horrible. But there are some good ones, or there are some good bankers. And so when you say something, one of the most important things you have to do is actually live up to it. And so one of the things that I talk about in Evergreen is this concept of the expectations gap. And the expectations gap is simply the gap between what the customer is promised and what they actually get. And so marketing can be really good over here, right? But when the customer lands over here, there's this huge gap in the middle that they fall into because what they get over here is not the same. And so what you want to do is you want to make that as small as possible. So they talk about overpromise, underdeliver, all that stuff, right? Underpromise, overdeliver, whatever. You want to make sure you minimize the gap as much as possible. So
you don't want to do the opposite either, right? You don't want to say, oh, you get one thing and then over-deliver 30 things.
Exactly.
Right?
You want to be realistic. But, what you say is incredibly important. And so if you say we provide unparalleled customer service, better than anybody else in the county, then you better do it. Right? And so that means whatever that means to your business. If you answer phones, it means doing it quickly. If you greet customers, it means greeting them warmly. Whatever it is you say, you want to try and minimize that as much as possible. And so sales and marketing has gotten really good over the past few years. And people are very easily able to generate customers, right? We can use paid advertising, we can generate customers. But the problem is when they get to the other side, the gap is so big. Hey, this isn't what I was promised. This wasn't what I was sold. You might get the first, what I always say is you might get the first sale, but you're not going to get the second sale or the third sale or the fourth sale. The good businesses, the good companies get the second sale, the third sale, and the fourth sale, and happily ever after.
CFL, man. Customers for life.
There you go.
That's the goal of us here at the Garage Gym for sure. And this kind of turned into like a Fleming Consulting for the Garage Gym in Tango One. But you know what's so funny that this topic comes up? So I'm driving here after listening to that stat about the blackout, and I'm like kicked myself in the ass because I did a post today, and it was a call to action for my men's group, my immediate action team. Good picture, you know, like it's just it represents me smiling, no shirt, loving life. And I sent the message to Danny as I'm walking in because she proofread it. It was like, I said, you know, I'm going to help you strengthen your body, strengthen your mind. And I was like, just sounded like everybody else instead of me. Like, I'm going to help you. I should have said something like, I'm going to help you get jacked and love life. And like, that is like more representative of me and way different than everybody else. You know, and that's, I think, like exactly what you're getting at. It like hit me like a light switch when you're saying that. I'm like, damn it, I messed that one up.
Yeah, you got to be yourself, right? And so it's about defining who you are, what your story is, and how you're going to appeal to clients. So you said earlier when we started, you know, I seem pretty chill, right?
Like you're like straight out of California.
When I meet clients, first of all, this is kind of interesting, but I generate 98% of my business through a single email newsletter that I send every week. So in a day and age when, you know, people are doing everything they can to find customers, I do it through a written email. Sometimes it's video, but for the most part, it's written email. Very odd way to generate almost all of my business. But when people meet me, they talk to me, they say, you know, I feel like I know you, right? I've been reading your stuff for years, and I feel like I know you, I know your family, I feel like I have a connection with you. And so I don't try to be something I'm not with my clients in particular. I just give them what I am, right? And so I'm pretty chill with my clients. You probably don't want to do it this way. Let's try to do it this way. And that's how it goes.
And it's like working with a friend then. Even like if you just met them, having that attitude towards someone is like people want to work with people they know, people that are easy to talk to and get along with. And that comes back to like what we talked about with DeFazio, with branding. Right? It's just like your brand is you get stuff done, you're laid back, you're easygoing with it, and that's what you portray. And that's like with your messaging, like it's like Tony's messaging is like, fuck yeah, let's get jacked. That's the brand. So then stepping outside of that is like, now you want to switch and stick to it. And those are the people you want. You want people who are going to respond to, fuck yeah, I'm going to get jacked, let's do this, as opposed to like, I want to go through the day and step by step like everyone else, and all these other gyms advertise that like I'm just gonna get better and stronger and change my diet.
I think the we were talking about the video that Garage Gym just produced recently. I don't know if that was on camera or not.
Oh, but it will be.
But you know, I watched that with my wife Heather.
Guys.
I watched that with my wife, and we both said how authentic that felt to the way we know this business. And I think that's the key, right? That's the way you become not just another gym or another accountant or whatever it is. You're authentic to who you are in your marketing and when we're actually doing business with you. And so that was really cool to see. And I think you've done that. And I think your insight about noticing that on your own photo is a really powerful one.
And let's take that a step further, because like everybody listening doesn't own their own business. Like we got nurses, firemen. There's a lot of like first responders, a lot of people that work for, you know, the big three or stuff like that. Like all these great jobs and all these like real important frontline type jobs. It's not just for business and marketing. That's for your everyday life. You go into the grocery store, stop being so guarded. Go in and like engage the girl that's checking you out. I'm not talking that sounded wrong, but yeah, I mean, whatever.
Engage, take a shot.
Yes,
shoot or shoot.
But engage the shoot or shoot. Yeah, engage the person at the cash register. Engage at Costco, the person that's handing. They still do this with COVID. I don't go to Costco, but engage the person handing out the little wiener sandwiches. Like, make them fucking feel good. Like, make them feel good, and it makes you feel good. Like, be authentic and let your fucking guard down. Stop worrying about what everybody thinks constantly. And I think you'll be so much further ahead because it's like the real you that so few people put out there because you're worried about your next, I got to get to soccer practice. I got to go get the groceries. I got to do this. And if you, those are the things you got to do, but you're not even taking time in those little tasks to enjoy them. It sucks ass, man. It sucks ass.
And what you start a conversation with changes the whole direction of the conversation. Like it could be anything, like even say Bell calls you about your phone bill. Like for me, every time I answer the phone, it's like, hey, how are you? First thing. And it like, when you talk to bigger companies or people calling, it almost like, you see it almost like throw them off for a second. They're like, oh, I'm good. How are you? And then just doing that now changes the mindset from maybe someone in the office who's been making calls all day, or someone who's been behind the grocery till for the last 4 hours, and you just saying like, how are you? Or smiling at them. Like we discussed, tough to do with a mask now, but just saying something like that changes the whole conversation now and direction of it. So even with clients, like even like say you have a client come in and you're having a bad day and you just like say that now and get a smile on their face, it changes the whole attitude of the room.
Yeah, I think so many, it's, how do I say this properly? I quit my job as I was talking 6 months into it. I couldn't have done that without having a spouse who was willing to support me, who did have a job somewhat. And, so people that are working for the big three or whoever, it can be really hard for me to say to them, just get a smile on your face and be happy. But so many people wake up every day and say, I got to slog through the day, right? Here's another day I got to slog through. When they should be waking up and saying, I got an amazing day ahead of me and look at all the things I can do. I'm not saying I'm happy-go-lucky all the time, but what I am saying is that you can change your situation, and people should change their situation, but people are afraid to. So you said, I was pushing you to quit your job because you wanted to, and and I knew you wanted to, and I knew you could do it. You could do what you wanted to do. And so people have to be willing to take the steps to change their situation, whether it's in a bad marriage, whether it's in a bad job, whatever it is, take the steps to change your situation, because you as cliche as it is, you really do only get one shot at this thing. And I want to enjoy myself. And so people should do the same.
Yeah, I set a 5-year goal to quit. And there were so many days where I didn't like what I was doing moment to moment.
Sure.
There was a lot of policing that I loved, but I didn't like going to all these places. But I seriously set a goal to make as many people smile per day as I could. And that included the bad guys, the administrators that I at the police service, some of them that I couldn't stand. It meant everybody that I encountered, from the person at Starbucks who actually, that Sawyer who was here last week, that's how we knew each other. And my goal was to go in there and smile a lot, to become and you become known as somebody who's just happy. And it's infectious. So just because you don't like whatever you're doing, like if it's punching a press or something, it doesn't mean that you can't just smile. And if you make that much, the interactions that you have throughout the day that much better, the job is that much easier to get through, even if it is, stepping over decaying bodies. There's stuff to it. So let's take a break on that. Grab yourself. Today we're going Grove. This is a free advertisement for you guys, Grove. But this banquet beer that you guys came up with is awesome. We give it a 6-pack a try today, and maybe we gave a 6-pack a try last night too, actually. So, anyways, I want to read in for my boys. Speaking of authentic, is our guys here at Axel. They're doing this YouTube production for us right now. They provide creative strategies and services for small and large companies alike. They've worked with big businesses like the Toronto Raptors, and as small as ours, the Garage Gym. They just made that great dance video that they don't want to stake claim for because they thought it was funny, but that's your chirp for you guys. But though they are motivated to help you and your business launch products, they have the experience and the know-how to bring attention to your brand through creative video marketing. With Axel Films, they focus on your goals. Even when they disagree with them sometimes, they'll help you to get there using their creative storytelling to introduce your brand to the world. Axel's been with the Garage Gym since day one. They have helped us do everything we have done, and they will help you to attract many new members and increase your overall business. Axel is an all-in-one video production service. They offer everything from in-house strategy concepts and writing to producing, capturing, and editing your final branded video. Visit axelfilms.com and tell them that Tony sent you, and they will set you guys up with a great consult. They're just super easy guys to work with, so I couldn't recommend them more. All right, so I heard a great thing on a podcast actually today, cleaning that damn Airbnb of mine. It said something to the effect that jealousy or envy, a lot of people see those as real negative, and they can be, but jealousy and envy in many ways is a map for your life. Because usually you're jealous or envious of places or things that you want to be. And I think one of the things I saw and I see through guys like you and before, and when I started to really get out there in the world of entrepreneurship, as I thought about quitting the police service, was happiness. this like happiness and this this freedom that you have. And I think that was like a map for me. Like at first I saw it as like, oh man, I want to be like that. I want that. I'm like jealous of it. But really it was like a map. So if you take something that you're looking at and you're really feeling like that jealousy feeling, take a hard look, because maybe that's something you really want in your life. And maybe instead of being jealous of somebody like Noah or myself who have quit jobs, find out what they did and how they did it, because maybe that'll get you to where you want to be. So happiness, man, like you exude it.
I don't know
how
about
does that start? Like you wake up in the morning, you have your coffee. I know like you like love these morning routines of yours where you sit next door and kind of mock me as I still work. But let's talk about happiness, man. What does it mean for you?
Yeah, I mean, I rarely, first of all, you talked about jealousy and envy. I rarely feel that. I look at it much of what you're saying, right? It's like, if I see somebody that has something I don't have, not necessarily stuff, but how they are in their life or their business, I'm the same way. I want to learn what they did to get there, how they got there, how can I learn from that? And then I want to beat my own drum. I want to do my own thing. And I've spent my whole life doing that. So, it's like, I'm just going to figure it out. I'm going to wake up, I'm going to try something new, and I'm not going to go through life unhappy. So we were talking about, change your situation if you need to, right? I'm a firm believer of that. Figure out what you need to do. When I got serious about consulting and learning this business, I went $40,000 in the hole, like literally $40,000 on my credit cards. After I had left my job, after I started to make a little money, I still went $40,000 in the hole to try and figure out, how do I actually get to where I need to go? And so I had to take a huge risk to do that. But it worked out. And, I always tell people that things do have a way of working out. I don't believe in affirmations. I don't believe in, think and grow rich. But I do believe that you need to think positive, and you need to believe that generally things are going to work out if you just keep moving in the right direction. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but...
No, I think you are. I don't know. I think if you looking at things, if you really lay out what you really, really want and you stop measuring happiness in dollars, you're going to I don't look at a post of somebody with a Lamborghini and get jealous.
Yeah.
I don't want a Lamborghini or any other fancy car or Land Rover.
I'm probably the worst person in business because I don't necessarily think about the money. I think about, the biggest lesson that I shared with you that I learned from my mentor is that, he always said, real wealth is discretionary time. Right? That was his big saying. Real wealth is discretionary time. I don't care how much money you have. If you can't do what you want to do on a Thursday afternoon or a Friday morning, you don't have real wealth. And I took that to heart. I mean, I've accepted that literally, right? That real wealth is discretionary time. So I want to be able to wake up in the morning and do what I want to do. I don't want to be, forced to do something I don't want to do in life. And so that makes me happy. Now, again, there's people listening where they're saying, well, that's impossible for me, right? It's not. I truly believe it's not. I truly believe if you're unhappy in your situation, you can change it. You just need to take appropriate steps to do it.
So that's a question I have. So one thing just knowing you and things like that, I have a question kind of based on balance, because I know your consulting method is big on, as a consultant, you want to take from your client the burden of missing time with their kids, or missing the ability to go out with their family or do things or work on other projects for their job. And as a consultant, you take those pressures away from them, right? So how do you find balance within your own family? Because you obviously do a great job at that, is you have a lot of time for your own family while balancing work, and your idea of work is taking that pressure off other people. So what do you do for that?
Well, I mean, there's a few ways to unravel that. So one is I'm not perfect at everything. I spend way too much time playing on a phone, like we all do. I spend way too much time attached to my devices. When I was traveling quite a bit more than I'd like to travel, and some of that was more leisure than it was business. Again, going to a mastermind meeting in Palm Beach, for example, is not necessarily hard work. But one of the other things that I've learned from my own business coach is that regardless of what it is you do, you need to be constantly looking for ways to reduce labor intensity. So reduce the labor of what you do, allowing yourself to have more free time and more of that discretionary time to do what it is you want to do. So, here's a glaring omission that I'll make here on this podcast. I've never cut my lawn, ever. I've never cut my lawn in over 15 years at any house that I've ever lived at with my wife.
Tell me Heather's not doing it. Is that where this is going? Please go somewhere else with that.
So we are fortunate enough to have a father-in-law who loves to cut our lawn, and he thrives on it and he does it. But if he didn't do it, we would pay to have it done. And actually, Heather does love to cut lawn, but I don't. And so, I will find a way to take that out of my life because it's not something I enjoy doing. I want to spend time doing things that I enjoy doing. And so, I'll spend some money if I have to be able to do that. Again, not possible for everybody, but look for little ways that you can reduce labor intensity and things you don't love doing. Just pick anything and find a way. Can you outsource it? You can, surprisingly. There's so much stuff you can do these days that you can get help with.
So funny. Like, I just had a call with somebody last week, and that was one of our discussion was like, okay, 10x. Everybody says 10x. It's all over the friggin' internet, all over Instagram. 10x. For me, 10x isn't again money. It's like what was it? What was that term? I want to use that. I love that.
It's real wealth is discretionary time.
Right, discretionary time. So for me, 10xing. I don't make as much as I made as a police officer. I know everybody, entrepreneur of the year and all this nonsense, but I don't make as much as I made as a police officer. Certainly not if you took Danny's salary that she left into account. However, I feel like I make the most money per hour I've ever made.
Yeah.
And for me, that's where that comes down to is like looking at not doing this. So, if building your hardwood floors in your house is something that's going to give you great satisfaction, you love to do it, then do it. But if I can pay somebody to do that, and then I can go and make some business decisions or do some projects that are going to generate more funds for the garage gym or for Tango One by using that 40 hours that would have taken me to do my whole upper level of my house, or my bathroom. I just did my bathroom. I paid a ton of money to Seamus. But he did great work and he's worth it. But I could have done a lot of that, but I didn't because I was doing other things. And those other things aren't just making money. They're spending time with my kids and my family. And I think like people really, really underrate. Somebody at my business coach said, take your hourly rate, whatever you think you're worth, and double it, even triple it for your time away. So if I can't do a job for whatever that number is to you, let's just say 100 for a round number, we're going to make it 200. And if I can pay somebody to do my bathroom for less than $200 an hour, I'm winning. Mm-hmm. And I think people really lose sight of that. For me, cutting the grass is a job that people are like, why do you keep cutting? I have a huge lawn. I love sitting on my lawnmower, cutting that thing, listening to my books, my audio books, having a beer. One of the greatest hours of my week. So that's why I don't give away those. But there's a lot of other jobs that I do fund away. And even here at the garage gym, when there's something we can't get done, I just pay. Sign the check, guys. No budget, Tony. We're going to sign it.
Delegate it to, because that time is like, time's money in it in a lot of ways, right? And it's like if you're trying to save $40 by doing this 2-hour project on your own, right? Even if you are capable to do it, and you're taking 2 hours away from the business or an hour away from the business, hour away from your kids, it's tough to justify that sometimes.
But even take the money out of it completely, right? Just take the money out of it and go back to the concept of, do I like doing this or not? Right?
Right.
If it's going to make me unhappy, I'm not doing it. You love to cut the lawn. I love to tinker. I love to do stuff around my house. I love working on projects around the house, getting out a nail gun and hammering things, but I don't like cutting the lawn, so I'm not going to do it. If you would have loved to finish your bathroom, do it. But if not, and it makes you unhappy, which is the key here, don't do it.
Well, I walked in here today, and what did I say? I had to clean the goddamn Airbnb. I hate cleaning the Airbnb. I hate it. Why am I doing it? I'm doing it to save, I don't know what that would cost. $80? Probably, I don't know. So that's one of the things. I'm going home. You try to, every night make some notes. That's one thing I do. Every night I make notes of where I can improve.
I'm gonna have a house cleaning job by the end of the week.
Riley's listening, I hope. 'Cause that's the one I'm going to.
You know what,
I'm not giving you the house cleaning job.
Go back to that, what we were talking about earlier about strategy and tactics, right? If you want to actually get down to the nitty gritty of how we actually do things like this, literally make a list of all the things you do that make you unhappy, right? And then make another list of all the things that make you happy, and ask yourself, how can I outsource this? How can I, if on the unhappy side, how can I outsource this? How can I delegate it? How can I give it to somebody else? How can I get some help with it? And then on the other side, the happy list, say, how can I double down here, right? How can I spend more time doing this? And so that's kind of how I wander through life. I don't know.
I know we do it at our, you say that, but we do that at our every quarter
meetings.
Every quarter, everybody on my team, and it's not just me, like everybody on my team says, what do you hate doing? What are the things you're doing that you should not be doing? That's somebody else's job. And what are the things that somebody else could be doing for you? And they all give me they all sit it out there. They all put it out there honestly. And I do my best to accommodate that because I know that everything on that list is jobs that they're probably not doing that well at.
Yeah.
And the jobs that they do well at, keep giving that to them because they're going to do great at it.
And especially with a team, there's a lot of crossover.
Sure.
Right? So my list, 3 things off my list of 10 that I don't like doing might be on your like doing list, right? And if you sit down with your team and do that, might be pretty easy to trade off on a lot of these tasks, right? So that's something that if you do and take time to do, or take time to sit down like we do in our quarterly meetings to go through those lists, you could probably save a lot of time and a lot of energy, just energy and excitement towards those. Because if I don't like writing blogs and it's in Tony or Danny's top things to do, and I can give them that, but then take one of their tasks away from them, now the blogs are going to come out better because they're going to be spelled correctly. And then whatever project they don't want to do that I enjoy doing, like if it is cleaning the floors or something like that, now we've just made this work, and now the whole
This guy
team
actually likes cleaning the floor.
with the
That's
one
amazing.
the one we have,
Our new
the power operator, you just turn it on. It's like you cutting your lawn.
I bought a new machine today,
I just
too.
turn
Let's
it
see.
on. That's when I get my podcast in. I walk around the gym, just putts behind it. It's great.
It's very satisfying too to smell
is.
the hair get sucked up.
But
That's not going to encourage people to come back.
But that's
yeah.
really what it's all about, right? It's finding those little things you like doing and just doing those, and forget the things you don't like doing. Just find a way to not do them, and legitimately, that's how I go through life.
Man, awesome. And you're doing a great job at it, in my opinion, in my humble
Well,
opinion.
thank you.
I think you should spend a little bit more time with a skier, but we'll get to that another day. That's on me. I'm the coach for that. So anyways, man, I wanted to really thank you for coming. We covered so many things today. I feel like if you didn't get any value out of this, I know I did. I'm going to go home and make some notes. Actually, some things I'm going to make some changes on. Take action, man. It just seems every guest we have, every successful person we have, take action, be yourself, and make your own decisions, I think is huge. So Noah, if somebody wants to reach out to you in any way, how do they get a hold of you?
So the best way is just go to my website, which is noahfleming.com. You can find me there. If they want to check out my books, you can find those pretty much anywhere books are sold. And they can come see me at the Garage Gym.
Yeah, 9:30 a.m.
That's
or
right.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
every week. Actually, 9:35 this morning. You had to get called out of bed by Leah to jump in the FYF. But thank you because you saved me from
was
dying. That was a tough relay. Anyways, guys, thank you very much. Take some action. Make a difference. Find out what you love in life and chase it and cut out what you hate. Let's do this. Great
That's
job.
it.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.